where we dive into the human centered strategies that define the world's most effective leaders. I am Rahul Karan Sharma, and I am thrilled to have Shad Tidler with me today to discuss how to navigate high stakes environments with leadership confidence and why the ability to lead without formal authority is the true hallmark of a global icon. Shad has been a cornerstone of the Lucian team since 2014, where he combines extensive global business expertise and the disciplined, high endurance mindset of an Ironman triathlete. As a leading sales transformation consultant, he specializes in crafting the scalable strategies and resilient processes that drives client success in today's competitive environment. Chad, welcome to our conversation. And to start off, my my first thing to ask you is, from your perspective, Chad, both as an athlete as well as the master sales consultant,
hmm
what does leading before the title means for you and the people you coach?
Yeah. I was thinking about this as we are coming into it today, Rahul, and it really, I think back to a time at Lucian where I work, like when I was talking to our leadership about leading more. And one of our guys, Aaron, said to me, he goes, start doing now the things that you're going to be doing then, right? Don't
Mm,
wait for the title to come. Don't wait for you to be partner or leader. Start, like let's think. And they gave me some things, is like, do people see in you what they want to see in them, right? So are you leading by example?
mhm,
Are you keeping our culture and our values and our qualities? Are you showing those in every situation, not just when eyes are on you, but when eyes aren't on you?
yeah,
Are you doing the tough stuff now? Right, and
mhm,
doing those things, and even one more that's always stuck with me, and it was a shift because I came from big corporate where it's kind of, you had a certain sandbox to play in, and you kind of dictated things to do, not to do, and
mhm,
we're a smaller, faster growing company, and he said, think of things that we're as a leaders not thinking of now that can help the company go to the next level or help our people. And one of the things, think of like developing as we've been growing, we've been adding more people and more, functions to help us. And one of those things is having a development path, right? And going, okay,
mhm,
hey, it's great to be here and this is a great job and a good culture, but where can we go from here and where do they want to go and how do we have it processed in a way to do that, right? And so I think a lead
yeah,
is you're not waiting for somebody to tell you. You're just going, I'm going to go. These are the things I believe are right. These are the things that
mhm.
body that leader. I'm going to do it now, and then eventually, if I do enough, people are behind it. The title and the accolades come with it.
Come with it. Yeah, and I think you rightly mentioned that do the things when no one is watching you.
Yeah.
When all the eyes are on you, the likelihood of you doing better is kind of goes without saying.
hmm
But when no one is watching you, that's where your value system, your discipline comes into play.
Yeah.
And as long as we are doing what we are expected to do, not from the expectation from your leaders, but your own
hmm
expectation from self. And that will really make a huge difference in years to come. And as you rightly mentioned, the accolades and the title will follow because you are compelling your leadership to give you that title. You are compelling
hmm
your organization to give you that title because you are already that influential person that people are following you without the title. So thank you. I think that's a
Aaron,
great way to
Aaron
put
said
it.
it well. He goes, by the time you get the title, it's just a formality, right?
Hmm.
And I love
Correct.
things you said real quick on a little bit there is that you said
Mhm.
the values now, and I think of like the values that were instilled in me by my parents, by my grandmother, my mother, who were very influential in my life. Just little things like, just doing things without being asked to help others within, or even if it's not in your job title, right? Like thinking and going, right? And so I always try to remember those values they instilled in me and then take that into the values and the leadership with the team there at Lucian.
Correct, correct. Now, I wanted to move in and going to your domain, your subject, which is sales. So,
Hmm.
Shad, I come from a staffing and recruiting industry where sales is one of the critical aspect in very instrumental in building that revenue generation for the company. So, one of the aspect that I have observed that we have a pipeline of individual contributor, and based on their deliverables, based on their numbers, they get promoted to a sales manager role.
Hmm.
Now, my question to you is, Shad, that in sales, very often I see people need to influence folks who do not report into them, uh,
Right.
be it a recruiter, be it a client manager, be it your territory manager. So they don't report into you, but
Hmm.
you still need to influence them. You still need to manage them. So,
Right.
in your from your perspective, how an individual contributor in sales organization can stay calm and lead a room when they don't have the title to back them up?
Yep. A few things. Number one, when they're in that room, are they showing up as if like I bring value, I'm here to contribute and to
Mhm.
help? Are they showing up going, okay, hey, everyone in this room, like you said, whether it's a recruiter or a client
Mhm.
manager or another manager organization, or I think back in my old world of logistics sales, it was like the operations group and the branch manager where I worked.
Mhm.
Like obviously the operations didn't report to me, but what I did and what they did had a huge impact on each other, right? And
Mhm.
are you coming in going, what motivates them? What's important to them? And then how do I help them, right? Is it help them make life easier? Like if I'm in staffing and recruiting sales, I'm thinking, okay, what is ideal for us? And like, what is that recruiter looking for
Mhm.
that I can help get ahead of, right? And what are their problems or challenges that if like they run into and like, how can I get ahead of that with the client who I'm out there talking to and bringing the opportunity or the job role in. What are the things they're going to need and why? And so I understand that and how, you'll never get 100%, but kind of get 90% of those ahead. So it makes their life easier in small tweaks versus, wait a minute, we've missed something major that's going to have a huge outcome on the success for this client, this project.
Mhm.
I think of those things is, do we understand what motivates people, what's important to them and why, and how do we make their life easier?
Mm.
Do I show up in a way that this is how I want other people to mirror? So, for example, is okay if we've agreed on these things, who does what by when, and I'm leading by example to deliver on that, not just going, hey, it's great the recruiter's got to do it, the client manager's got to do it, this person. But I'm leading going, if I promised I'm going to get these things to them at this time in this fashion, help them with this, I'm getting that done. Right. So
Mm.
things, and that's where people a lot of times, great leaders and mentors, the reason why we follow them is because we see in them something we want to see in ourselves, right? And they show up
Mm.
the way that we go, that's the way I want to be, that's the way I'm inspired to be. And so even though they don't report to you, are you showing up in that way all the time? And if you keep helping them, they're going to follow and help you because they go, you're helping make my life easier, which is a lot of times what people want, more than anything in their work role.
Mm. Wow, I think the way you are bringing this up is simply awesome, which is making others' life easy.
Hmm.
So, as a sales professional, how can you make a recruiter's life easy? A recruiter is a person who is technically proficient and has the knack of sourcing. So, are you giving him or her enough information so that they can source the right person for you?
Well,
And
and
from
oh,
a
that real quick is also, are you
Mhm.
bringing in and helping them make that connection with the client, right? So when my
Mhm.
of logistics, I would take the operations people and they would meet the people they were talking to, whether it was
Mhm.
the decision makers or leaders, or it was the other, the client side operations folks. And just doing little things like that made their life easier, made them understand, they communicate and it personalized it, so even things like
Right.
that. So go ahead. Sorry, just as thought came
Yeah,
through.
no, no, no. That's thank you for that addition. But the only thing I was adding there was if you're interacting with the hiring manager or client manager, how are you reducing their work? How are you making sure that you are making their life easy, as Shad mentioned? So that's how you can command the room. Another aspect, whenever a professional meets with the client, how are you bringing the market news to them?
Yeah.
um, are you
Great.
ensuring that when you are having your meeting or when you are scheduling your meeting, is the person, the client manager, are they really excited to have you for that meeting, or they are thinking, not again, I want to find every reason to avoid this meeting? So don't be that salesperson who is just too pushy, but be the person who is bringing that market insights, market intel, and making their job easy, making them look good in front of their manager. So
Yeah, and
that.
like that is and make and bring that intel, make it easy, but also thinking ahead for them, right? A lot of
Mhm.
people stop working with outside organizations, companies, et cetera. 'Cause, like, but if they're unless there's problems or challenges, but a lot of times they're like, well, that's kind of all they got. That's it. And so one of my clients in the UK who's in staffing and recruiting, we've worked on this, is that yes, she's helping them fill these roles, but thinking ahead. And she works a lot with engineering companies, and she was an engineer in her former life. So thinking ahead of problems that they're going to have. Okay, we hire these folks. What about these
Mhm.
stuff based on the initiatives, the projects, the goals you have, and how are you thinking ahead? And now it's becoming more consulting. And I know people throw around the term like value added or bring value, but that's truly where it is when you're like, it's like thinking about like you and somebody walking down the road together. Well, if
Mhm.
you know there's potholes or landmines on that road and you help them steer around, or like, how do we avoid these? They're going to go, man, there's a lot of value, versus you're walking there like, oh, forgot about that, or didn't realize that was there, right? That a
Correct.
lot of times is where people are going, I want to talk to you and spend time, or I'm going to reach out in between because you're helping me think ahead, which gets back to what we're talking about, is getting ahead of
Mhm.
problems, challenges, making life easier.
Sure, sure. I think those are great points you added. Now, another observation I have, Shad, is most of the professionals today, and since you are bringing up on the engineering sector, I have noticed that they are very technically proficient. In the sales area also, they know their product, they know the market, but still they are invisible when it comes to the boardroom meetings.
Hmm.
So from your perspective at Lucian, what is that attitude shift needed to go from being a doer to an influential visionary that people want to follow?
Yeah. You said the technical, right? They're great tech. Like, I'm great in engineering, right? I understand the
Hmm.
technical aspects. Here's the problem: people buy emotionally and they justify logically, right? So if you
Mm.
people buy emotionally and justify logically, it means they make decisions on, do they want your help? If you're selling to them, do I believe this is the company and the person to help us get to wherever we're trying to get to fix a problem, to reach a goal? That's an emotional decision first, and then they justify it logically and go, well, can they do these things that we're requiring, or we can adjust the environment to make sure they can they deliver on time? Is it within at least a price budget range that we're comfortable with because we see the value? And
Mm.
a lot of times when people are very technical oriented, I'm going to speak from my own experience because I was an engineer by background before I got into the
Hmm.
sales side. Um, you come and lead with the technical and the detail and all that, and they tune out because they go, here it is again, right? Or they're just talking like, this isn't really what's important to us. So
Hmm.
if you come into that room and you lead from the emotional or compelling side, well, what is that? Okay, are we coming in really understanding from them, like, what's not just the technical details for that, like an engineering role, right? But what's the big thing that's driving them to even hire for this role? Right? What is, like, they bring this person in like an engineering VP or manager, whatever it is. What's going to be the outcome, and why are they even looking at that? Right? Is it hey, because we're noticing that we're missing things from a quality perspective, or we've had some technical snafus that's caused us to lose projects, right? Or to lose clients, right? And it's cost us this much. And that those leaders you're talking to are like, we're staying up at night because we got customers we're losing and people are on button, like a board that's on us, right? That's a compelling reason, right? And so if you can
Mm.
lead from that side and go, let's talk about those compelling reasons, or let's help you with avoiding, how do we get those fixed and stay away from those? Then we can get to the technical side, which is, okay, now let's talk technically how to do it.
Mm.
Many people come in, especially if you're technical oriented, that's easy for you. It's harder to come from the compelling, but That's what people want. They want to go, when they say, I trust you, I believe you can help, I see the value, what they're really saying is, you understand my problems or challenges or my goals. You understand what I'm going through, and the solutions you're offering bring, like, I see the value of why we would go with you versus someone else. And then they go,
Mm.
okay, now we can justify all the technical pieces from there.
Wow. I really like that phrase you mentioned about emotions and logic. And I think that is a huge difference. Sometimes that emotion piece is kind of a blind spot for people who are very good on analytical skills, or
Hmm.
probably that left brain thinkers. Um, that is most mainly a blind spot. So if you are an engineering leader, try to focus on how you can build up that emotional aspect, that emotional intelligence during your conversation with your clients or your team, so that you are really making an impact, you are really making an influence that you destined to do. So
And
thank you
Raul,
for sharing that.
so like I said, my background, I'm a technical guy and I think in those terms.
Uh-huh.
My wife is more in tune emotional, with emotion, things like that. And I love talking with her on things work wise or clients. And then she'll just look
Mhm.
at it. How do you think they're feeling about it? Or what do you think's going through their thoughts and
Mhm.
emotions? And then I'll go, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking from the left side of the tech. I had it. I got to have that conversation with them because that's what's holding things up. And that's why I love her, is like, she's just able to quickly, help me shift back to that and go, hey, let's think about that. What really moves people.
Yes, and since you're bringing on this emotion aspect, many technical organization, they are facing this the challenge where they have brilliant technical mind, but they have very not so great leaders.
Hmm.
And based on my experience, what I've noticed, they spend a whole lot of money, millions of dollars, billions of dollars, when it comes to investing in people's development. Still, they are not able to meet that impact. And what I believe that it is all about that mental toughness. Leading without authority is not just only about emotion, is just not only about the numbers, it is also about that mindset, that mental toughness. So
Hmm.
I know the philosophy or the concept that you and your team teaches to leaders, specifically in the sales side, how that actually build the leadership confidence that they can challenge their status quo, that they can really focus on building their inner self without the fear of overstepping their boundaries or overstepping on anyone else's boundaries.
Yeah, it starts with the culture of the organization and the leadership of the organization, right? So, a lot of companies, relative to your point, they talk about it and like we've got a strong culture. We're very emotionally intelligent. We've got, like, we build mentally tough people. In
Mhm.
my experience, from having worked for some large multinational organizations, medium, now a smaller growing one, working with a lot of clients of various sizes, very few actually do it. Like, actually
Mm.
put the strength behind going. Leadership goes, it's okay to screw up. Now,
Mhm.
it's not
Yeah.
okay to keep screwing up over and over again without learning the lessons and building on it. But it's okay to screw up, because part of building your mental toughness is you got to have the at bats and you got to make the mistakes. Like, if you look at great leaders and entrepreneurs, they will have story upon story about how they something screwed up, right? Or they tried something that didn't work. I was listening to a podcast last week and talking about, if you know Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders, he was in his late 60s and he tried multiple
Mhm.
things before he got
Yeah.
there. Even Jeff Bezos, right, of Amazon, right? He had so many, like they talk about some of the failed stuff that they tried and like
Mhm.
how much it cost him. But like, of course, he hit one that was amazing, but it's because he was willing to fail in order to get there faster. And great leaders look at that as feedback, not failure. They go, hey, that didn't
Mhm.
work, that's feedback. I think Thomas Edison said it best, is when somebody went, it took him like 10,000 tries to make the incandescent light bulb, and a reporter back then interviewed him and said, well, how did you deal with failing so many times? Because I didn't fail, I learned 9,999 ways not to make a light bulb. Right? It's
Mm.
a
Yeah.
mental
Yeah.
shift, and that's part of mental toughness, is going, okay, as long as we're learning lessons and growing, we're still going towards this goal or compelling reason. Let's do it and let's move fast, right? So organizations have to be willing to do that. Now there always has to be some bumpers around it.
Hmm.
But are they willing? Like that's one of the things I love where I'm at is like they're willing, they're like our philosophy is like try it once, and if it doesn't work, okay, what's the lesson learned to do something different? But if it does, then figure out how can we go deeper and do it more, right? And
Hmm.
so you've got to have those things to be mentally tough and celebrate those losses, and that has to start top down where it's okay and it's welcomed, right? And not
Correct.
just talked about, and that helps build mental toughness. It's also going, let's look back on the history. One of the things I think of when I struggle through things or I'm challenged and moving into kind of that new ceiling of life, right? Whether it's work wise or professional, it is I look back, and I follow Stoic philosophy, so it's a little bit from the Stoics. Is you can handle so much more, right? And if
Mm.
you think back, like I think back to a year past, right? I'm coming up on my 49th birthday. I think back when I was turning 48, what I was dealing with and handling then personally and professionally, I laugh at now because I'm like, I could run circles around that, right? Where I'm at now, a year ago seemed like, how am I going to get there? Right. So mental toughness also comes, like I said, from the at bats, but also looking back and going, hey, we've built past them. We've done that. Now, what's the next to push through?
Yeah. And I think you are bringing another important aspect. It is about the failures.
Hmm.
And as the example that you mentioned about Jeff Bezos or the KFC owner, as well as Thomas Edison, it is all about failing fast. And failing fast and learning from the failure is your should be your next go to strategy, because I believe if we only focus on success, we are missing a big chunk
Oh yeah.
of the learning coming from failure.
Yeah.
And failure, a wise person mentioned that failure is the acronym fail, FAIL, is the first attempt in learning.
Oh,
So
I
if
heard that.
you're
Good. Yeah.
yeah, so if you are not failing, probably you are not learning. And
Right.
embrace the failure, because failure, as much as success, failure are also part of life. And from the mental toughness, I think first of all we need to make our mind so strong, and that belief has to come from us, from within, that
Mm.
we can do it.
Right.
And that's a
Yeah.
very important aspect
Yeah.
for
And
being that tough.
one thing that helps is looking back and going, where have I done this before? Like a
Mhm.
lot of times when I'm working with clients and they're like, they're struggling with the belief of like, how can I do this? I go, okay, or I can't. Like maybe that's what goes through a lot of people's minds. Our brain just is wired to do that to protect us from unknown bad situations, right?
Mhm.
The thing I'll challenge them and go, is that true? What if
Mm.
the opposite was true? And then can we look back and see history where we've been able to do similar or something like this? Right. And then, okay, what now? Let's take the lessons, Raul, like we're talking about. What did we learn from that we can put into action now and track
Mhm.
towards results? Like my wife and I do real estate investing, and our
Mhm.
first couple of investments here locally, one overseas, just did not work. Like, I mean, we just hit the wrong neighborhood, wrong market here. Overseas was just a lot of things unknown and unplanned. But every time we sat down, and went, okay, what's our goal, our next goal? And then what did we learn from this to do differently? And now we've got one that's very successful, that we're starting to build success on. And we always talk about that as like, yeah, let's talk about what we learned that we can use to be successful in that next venture.
Correct, correct. And talking about a failure, one of the things, Chad, that was coming to my mind is my own LinkedIn Live conversation. So last year, I was trying to do a few LinkedIn Lives, and I failed.
Mhm.
I failed miserably because I was not knowing the right way to do it. And it made me nervous. It made me look bad in front of my clientele, or probably my listeners. But then I took a step back and then took a different approach. And today, now I can say that I'm now pro at LinkedIn Live conversation from a tech side.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Because you learn from those things and went, well, that didn't work. Let me try this.
correct, correct. All right, so we are coming close to our conversation, Chad, and then before I let you go, I wanted to ask you if the listeners for us who are probably the global citizens and the leaders, sales leaders in the Washington D.C. metro area and in your area, Indianapolis area, if we have to give them one framework or one insight from Shad Tidler's framework so that they can implement it right away, what would that be that will help them to lead before the title?
Very first one, Raul, is know what motivates people, what their goals are, and then figure out how can I help them get there. Like I'm always thinking, like one of the things I do is we do our goal planning overall for the company, but also individual goals, and share those as a team in October of every year to plan for the next year. I've been taking meticulous notes, and actually one of our guys like put it into this online system where you can see everybody's goals. But I'm always thinking, like every week I've got time on my calendar where I sit down thinking, okay, hey, when I talk to this next person, how am I going to bring this up? How can I help them get there? Right? If it's one of our coaches and he's trying to get to a certain level of clients that he's managing because he's got bonuses, and those bonuses help him and his wife with some personal stuff that they're working on. How do I help him get there faster by getting him involved with more clients or helping him learn new concepts and stuff that will help him grow with the clients he has, right? Really, do you understand the personal goals and what's driving people? And then are you thinking of what's things I can do to help them get there faster, easier, do more of what they want? Because when you do that, people will naturally get behind you because they go, you understand what's important to me, where I'm going, and you've got the tools to help me get there.
Yep, yep. And on to add to this, you would be surprised, leaders, that what you think is people are motivated, it may be completely different. So
Yep.
know what motivates your people is one of the critical aspect for you to be successful. And the second thing I would also add to what Shad mentioned is your people, you don't have power to know what is in your people's mind, what is in your team's mind. So
Yeah.
encourage that environment where your people are free enough without any inhibitions. They are able to share what is going in their mind,
Right.
because if you don't know what is going in their mind, it will have an adverse impact on the strategies, on the plan that you have for them. So that's those are the two things I would also add. So thank you, Shad, for bringing those pointers.
Real quick on that, like one piece on that last second part, because you read my mind. Because I was thinking that
Uh-huh.
a lot of times when I talk to leaders, go, what motivates your people? They're like, well, of course it's this, or I assume, or I'm motivated this way. No. To your point, ask them and have the conversation. Don't try to read their mind because they aren't you, and your assumptions, majority of the time, are going to be way off.
Sure, sure. So, Shad, before we let you go, I wanted you to talk about your organization, Lucian, and what is next for you and your organization. What kind of impact you are seeing or you are expecting to make in the community, especially for the sales professional navigating the pressure and the transition.
Sure. So for myself personally, I've got this lifelong goal to help 100,000 people or more through the sales consulting coaching. I've been doing this 12 years, been tracking year over year. Had to make some assumptions on a couple of years when I didn't track, but I'm probably about 40,000 right now. So my goal is to help at least that number of people by the time I get ready to retire in about 10 years from now. Um, that and just make an impact, not just professionally on sales. Yeah, it's great to see organizations exceed their sales, but personally, like how do they operate and navigate their life, and like do they walk away going, man, I just feel stronger about myself. I'm better in my relationships at work, at personal, and I'm leading the life that I wanted to. And that's a lot of the goals for Lucian, and what we do is to help be that. It's our mission statement would be that beacon to help people live their best lives, and we do it through our sales consulting and coaching, which leads into a lot of other parts of their business, right? So
Mhm.
we've got some big growth plans. We became an ESOP about 3 years ago, as a part to give back to employees. So we've got some growth plans up there, but it's always focused on the helping people be their best, through what we do.
Awesome. Well, check out Shad's website and try to see how you can engage with him or his coaching philosophy. If you are leading a sales team, I would definitely invite you to have a conversation with Shad. You may have a different perspective on how your team can do better. On that note, I would like to thank you for joining us for this deep dive in the psychology of influence. As we have seen today, Shad, the climb to leadership starts with the decisions you make right now. Shad mentioned that fail fast and fail quick. And regardless of your position, regardless of your title, if you do things that you are that you value, that you believe in, leadership title will follow you. Leadership position will follow you. On that note, I also would like to invite you to carry these insights into your organization and continue to share this conversation with your inner circle. As we wrap up, I would want to leave you with this thought. Leadership can often feel lonely in the top, but it should not be a lonely journey. I would like to invite you again for a leadership sounding board. It's a LinkedIn group of ours where we have a collaboration with various leaders across the globe who shares with you the perspective that you need from them. The any day-to-day challenges that you are facing, which you cannot have a conversation with your leaders, current leaders, come and join this group and have that conversation. Our leaders are waiting to give you that perspective. Thank you once again, and thank you, Shad, for joining us. I understand the weather was not great. We had some challenges going on, but you still made it to this conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. Same in your area, and yes, I love to being on today. Appreciate you having me.
All right.